content versus process. What page are we on there, Trent?
72.
72, right? So what I want to say is it's pretty simple, but a lot of people make it a little bit more complex than it is, and they get a bit lost in it. So I'm going to give you a stock standard example, and then you can apply that to other inquiries that you're doing with your client. So this is basically a listening distinction. Okay, so there you are, you're sitting with your one-on-one, or you're in front of a seminar room with somebody and you're transforming them. The idea, the name of the game on the spot in a one-on-one or at the front of a room is to get to the breakthrough in a nice, comfortable way for that person, but as quickly as possible. Because they're on the spot, they've come, or in the seminar, or they've come in a one-on-one and they're there for that outcome. Okay, so you want to get to what the problem is quite quickly. Otherwise, you're left with a client that's like, oh, I don't know, because if they really had it by the root cause and what to do about it, they wouldn't be there with you. So it's part of your listening to find out what that is. Okay, so I want to just give a basic example that I always use, and it's let's say you have a woman come in and she says, my husband never communicates. Okay, let's have a look at this. Right, now, it's a pretty basic statement, right? But you can invalidate someone and upset someone pretty quickly if you don't get the intention behind the upset. So what we do is we need to decide, is it the process or the content that's upsetting this person? So is it the process, I've got a P here for process, or is it the content of the complaint that's upsetting the person? And so the reason why I've done these arrows here is because the conversation could go in two different ways. Okay, so what we want to know is it the process that's upsetting her, that the husband doesn't communicate very well, and she wants to work on the communication skills in a relationship in general? Or is it the actual piece of content she needed in that moment that she really didn't get? Yeah? And so there's a metaphor that we use, and it's about processing fruit. The content is the fruit, the berry, for example. And the way we process it is very, very different, right? So you could be mashing it, you could be blending it, or you could be popping it in the food processor. Either way, we need to discover whether it's the content or the way that things are being processed that is upsetting somebody. Okay, so I'll give you an example of how this is deeply validating and deeply invalidating all at the same time. Okay, so the first thing is, let's say she says, just generally the process and our communication in our relationship, right? So as an NLP practitioner, coach, or whatever you want to call yourself, the process around creating a breakthrough is going to be in a very different direction if it was just simply that she needed that piece of information, that it was the content. And she may have the experience that he might have been hiding it, or he's just, useless, or like all that disgusting egotistical language, right? So let's say woman goes, my husband never communicates, and I automatically assume that he's hiding something, and I coach her on that. It's going to bug her. She's already upset, she's already irritated, she's already frustrated. She's already ready for a divorce, probably, if she's in your office, right? So, and there I am just making it worse. I'm not validating her map and model of the world. I'm not respecting her map and model of the world. I'm not even all that curious, in fact. I'm just coaching her on the first thing that pops in my head, right? But let's say I become distinct in what the problem is for her, and we nail it on the head in under 5 minutes. Two completely different outcomes. Okay, so that's basically process versus content in a nutshell.